There he is.
Okay.
What's going on, Rev?
Oh, not too much. Enjoying this beautiful morning. How are you doing?
Good. It's good to see you again.
All right. Can you see me?
Yeah, yeah. I,
Uh,
you're dressed in your dashiki on this momentous occasion.
yes. Yes, I have to pull it out.
That's great. Well, first and foremost, happy Juneteenth to you and the audience.
Happy Juneteenth, everybody.
And why don't we introduce ourselves to the audience? So I'll let you go ahead and start us off.
Oh, great. I'm James Parrish Smith, and I'm director of the Bridge to Arts music program and professor of organ at the San Francisco Conservatory.
And
Glad to be here.
and, and all around debonair organ player as well. And my name is Jason Hainsworth. I am the executive director of the Roots Jazz and American Music Program at the San Francisco Conservatory of Music. And I'm also the associate dean of diversity, equity, and inclusion at the conservatory as well. So we thought that this would be a great moment to mark for a bunch of different reasons, but it's also hopefully not coincidental that President Biden has enacted Juneteenth as a national federal holiday this week. So all of these things are coming into place kind of at the same time, and we were going to do this without that even taking place. So all the more reason to celebrate this particular Juneteenth this year. And James, let's get started with maybe a little bit about where you grew up and how was it celebrated or not celebrated, and how maybe your first interactions with like Juneteenth celebration.
Oh, great. I would say, well, I grew up in New Orleans, Louisiana, great musical city and just rich history. I would say that in New Orleans, growing up, we heard of Juneteenth, but it wasn't necessarily celebrated in a great way. It wasn't until I really moved here to the Bay Area a few years ago that I joined in the festivities that took place here in the city, in the Fillmore district, and celebrating with many of my friends from Texas that really held Juneteenth in a great regard. So, but I celebrated with them. So that's my experience with Juneteenth.
Yeah, yeah, it's so crazy how and just growing up in Houston, Texas, and as a kid, I just assumed that the Juneteenth was celebrated everywhere,
Mhm.
and I didn't really understand that it wasn't, or even the fact that people didn't know what Juneteenth actually was
Mhm.
until I guess I moved to New Orleans for college, and then
Mhm.
transferred and moved to New Jersey for college, and went to grad school in Florida. And I just assumed, well, like, what are y'all doing for June? Where's the parades? Where's the barbecue? Like all the stuff
Right.
I just naturally associate with Juneteenth. And because my experience was every Juneteenth as a kid, there would be some type of parade in my neighborhood, and a big parade. And the parade also kind of led towards some type of fair or of some sort, and cooking, barbecue, macaroni
Mhm.
and cheese, that all that good stuff. And I remember vividly as a kid hearing the Texas Southern University marching band, which was like a really great band, uh, marching in our neighborhood, and Jack Yates High School um, marching behind that band. And we would always kind of end it somewhere around Emancipation Park. Um,
Mhm.
and it was just a fun event. To me, that was more important, or definitely more fun than any Fourth of July activity that was going on, just because the food was better.
Right, right,
Better
exactly.
too.
Yeah, I thought about it in the many of the Black church tradition. We celebrated on New Year's Eve, with the watch night service,
Yes,
for the Emancipation Proclamation.
right.
And so that's kind of the time we did that kind of celebrating.
Right.
But hey, the Texas, you all were special, you know.
Well,
You know,
yeah, I
and
guess
we
I,
don't mind partying, so hey, here's another opportunity,
right.
to celebrate freedom.
Yeah, absolutely. And not just freedom for Black people, but like in my head, this is freedom for everyone,
Everyone.
everyone's freedom. And a couple of questions that I want to throw at you, and feel free to throw some back at me. But like, I know that you're the music director at your church right now. So what, if any, activities or any programmatic material do you have planned for this upcoming weekend that we're in?
Well, we definitely, being a predominantly historically Black church, we celebrate Black music every Sunday, and those contributions. So, I mean, this week we're just joining in with our community in the Fillmore Heritage Center, that we're going to just celebrate all things music, and that's in our tradition. Whether that be jazz, R&B, and things of that sort. And church tomorrow. Speaking of Juneteenth and history at Third Baptist, our pastor, Reverend Amos Brown, who is one of the 7 students of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. that he taught his life. He is celebrating his 45th anniversary at Third Baptist on tomorrow.
That's
And
amazing.
so we are singing all kinds of just great music from our rich tradition of music in the service tomorrow. So,
That's great. Are there any particular songs that you think of for this occasion?
well, there's this song. It's called "I Will Make the Darkness Light Before Thee." It was written by a pastor musician, Charles Price Jones, over 100 years ago. He wrote over 1,000 hymns. He was a pastor, musician, things of that sort. And during his time, of course, there was you know, just straightforward, segregation and things of that sort. But his song, this one song he wrote, it's a song of hope. I will make the darkness light before thee. What is wrong, I'll make it right before thee. All your battles I will fight before thee, and the high places I'll bring down. When thou walkest by the way, I'll lead thee. On the fatness of the land I'll feed thee, and a mansion in the sky I'll deed thee, and the high places I'll bring down. And that's a song of hope. Just the fact that there was a hope put into the atmosphere all those years ago by our ancestors that we would be free, and that we are the recipients. We live in a day that is by far not perfect, but we are further along in our journey. We want to continue that fight for freedom for all people.
Right. That's great. Yeah, man. You're going to have to send me the music to that piece.
Yes, I will, definitely.
Because the words are uh, uh, timeless, you know?
Yes,
Yeah, so wow, yeah, I look
yeah,
forward to hearing that. That's, it's one thing to think about, um, the celebration of Juneteenth, but it's another thing to think about and think maybe even if you can fathom what it all took to come to this point right here.
mm,
And, you know, we as musicians, sometimes we lose sight of that fact. Like we lose sight of the history behind the actual piece, or the history behind the composer himself or herself. And you telling me that that piece was written 100 years ago. I can't even imagine like what was going through that man's head trying to write a piece of music uh, and encapsulate everything that he's feeling at that moment, and
yeah,
still try to bring some semblance of hope to his congregation that would be hearing this, so that they could still continue through their daily grind of whatever whatever they had to get through to at that moment. um, or I mean, even thinking further back, like how our people, how slaves that looked like us went to church for hope and community and connection, and a sense of, okay, well, we have this one period in church where we can finally, be with family and friends, to mentally prepare for what we have to do the rest of this week now.
hmm yeah. It's definitely, the music for our people has been a time of release and a time of expression and that and communication.
Right.
And we still use that. I mean, music is the universal language, and that's what we seek to do in real time, and to be able to give that to people, and working at the conservatory, of course, to impart that to our students, and bringing that to the community, that spirit of love, that spirit of hope. Uh, yeah, so, and we're feeling free coming through, moving forward through this pandemic. That, exciting, we've opened up in the state this past, so that's exciting for music making, especially.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope that our students at the conservatory uh, will use this time that they've been locked down for basically a year and a half, uh, to mark how they were feeling during that period. I'm hopeful. I hope that they have come up with some very, um, uh, uh, very spiritually awakening music that they feel like they can share, um, uh, share with the audience. And hopefully it's uplifting, but I would be interested in seeing some of the dark side of what they were feeling also, because that's part of music as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The expression that we can make, on our various instruments and voices, and I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see what comes out of this. And, but it's a real experience, and it's in my book, it's good, and people should. We're talking of freedom. People should be free to express that way, and it's going to be neat to see the what students do with in the future with their how this affects the way that they make music. So
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Let me ask you this, James. What does Juneteenth mean to you culturally, like outside, not necessarily music specific, but just outside of music? How do you celebrate Juneteenth personally?
well, it's beautiful. Thanks for that question. Living in San Francisco, I grew up in the deep South, and so I mean we had large populations of Black folks. So living here in the Bay Area and living in San Francisco in particular, where we're only 3% of the population, I look forward to the festivals that take place. Usually I go to things at the African American Cultural Center. I have friends that throw house parties. And so I just bounce around and of course eat and celebrate, and we all have reflective conversations, and I love the fact that this Juneteenth, even being a national holiday, that it coincides with the Pride celebrations that are going on. So I'll even peek my head down in the Castro and see what's going on there. There's all kinds of parties going on, so it's a fun time.
You have a particular food that you're looking for?
Oh, well, definitely some good barbecue. So I'll go to a friend's house that's pulling the grill out. So yeah, definitely some good barbecue. How about you? What are you doing?
This Juneteenth has caught me at a very bad time because I'm trying to eat better. So I
You
might
can have
have
some
to
barbecue tofu or
a
something.
barbecue tofu. I can't think of anything nasty in my head. I may have to get some barbecue. I may have to get some ribs. I see my
Let it
wife
bless
just
your
pulling
woman.
that collard greens. Yeah.
Yes. Macaroni and cheese. Yeah.
Macaroni and cheese. Yeah. Easy. Actually, I did have some macaroni and cheese this week, thanks to Amelie. But yeah, that and also really just I want to listen to some really good music. Just some really good music. So I take this opportunity to pull out some of the people that I grew up listening to just across genres. So I'm trying to think of some. Well, my go-tos typically are Stevie Wonder and Earth, Wind and Fire.
Oh yeah.
Some Curtis Mayfield.
Yes.
Just like, to me, that Curtis Mayfield in particular, that just reminds me of everything that we're trying to celebrate. Just Marvin Gaye is another person.
Nina Simone.
Yeah, Nina Simone, absolutely, Nina Simone. But then Charles Mingus, John Coltrane, Miles
Hmm.
Davis. These were um, musicians that uh, were fighting for fighting for this cause also,
Hmm.
and they each did it in their own way. Someone like John Coltrane, he wasn't a vocalist, but he spoke to people without words and had just as important of an impact on the culture and standing up for civil rights and letting his instrument speak for himself. Louis Armstrong being another person like that as well. So I'm just gonna,
That's my homeboy.
say it again.
That's my homeboy,
Who's
Louis
that?
Armstrong.
Oh,
Louis
Louis. Yeah.
Armstrong. Yeah, yeah. I think about Mahalia Jackson, and she refused to perform in front of segregated audiences, even at that time,
Right.
and people fought for this day. And I'm glad that we're at an institution that values all cultures and
Right.
that and putting action to it, not just words.
Right.
And it's great. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something that we shouldn't uh, take lightly, because it's not the case all over the place. So,
Hmm.
um, and that's due to your help in making this stuff happen as well. So, um, yeah, we'll definitely keep on it, and I'm sure at some point we're gonna have a SFCM gospel choir that you're gonna be in charge of. No
Yeah,
pressure, no pressure.
no pressure. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
We can have
look,
this gospel jazz fusion.
to me, it's all the same. You know what I mean?
Create
It's
a new sound.
Yep. Well, you're gonna have to get to writing some music here, Rev.
Okay, I'll write some more.
And giving some of your future organ students some lessons on how to groove, huh?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We live in a beautiful, diverse, global society. An instrument is what we make of it. The instrument shouldn't tell us what to do. We should
Right.
work with the instrument to create what atmosphere that we desire. So that's a great idea.
Right. Yep. I think you're breaking up a little bit, James.
Oh, oh,
I
well,
think your screen is getting distorted a little bit.
let's see. Can you hear me? Can you
I
see
can I
me?
can there's a little bit of a delay, but it's cool. I think we're probably gonna wrap up pretty
Right.
soon also.
Right.
But I was gonna say I can't imagine anything cooler than to have an ensemble like that at our school with a diverse choir and with a diverse band. Like I think that would be totally hip to uh, to see, and I think that would be something that the students would get a lot out of also. Just experiencing something other than playing in the orchestra, or something other than playing in a jazz quartet. But like the music hits you in a different way when you're in a gospel band. It just
Oh
does.
yeah, oh yeah. But to be able to feel, and I would say that we can celebrate all of our rich musical heritage. Gospel and spirituals and uh, just some of the even classical works by African American composers, even that they don't get much play, but we can be a place for them.
Yep. Yep.
Yes.
And I have to admit,
Jazz.
I some learning of that stuff. I have to learn that stuff myself, you know, which will be fun. You know, I think that's why we are musicians, because we enjoy the learning process, you know.
Yes. I feel the energy. Can you hear me?
Right. Yeah.
Of new birth. Yes.
Yeah. 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 Well, you know, why don't we wrap it up? Thanks for doing this with me, Rev, and I really appreciate it. And do you have any final thoughts that you would like to impart with our audience? Hopefully the audience dug it too.
I would I want to thank you again for the opportunity to share with you. I've enjoyed, and with our audience, with our audience. And I think of the last verse of Lift Every Voice and Sing, when it says, "Stony the road we've tried, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died. Yet with a steady beat, have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. We have come over a way that with tears have been watered. We have come treading a path through the blood of the slaughter, out of the gloomy past, till now we stand at last. And maybe we be true to our God and true to our native land." That's my word.
Well, I can't say anything after that. So thank you all out there for hanging out with us for a short period of time, and happy Juneteenth to everyone out there. And I hope that you all will go out and celebrate this beautiful day, especially if you're in the Bay Area. And please tune into SFCM events, and hopefully you'll see this gospel choir sometime in the future. Take care. See you, Jay.
Take care. See you later. Happy Juneteenth.
Okay, bye.
Bye.